we're going to get started. Got lots happening today. So this is our CEO, Cynthia Schneider. She's going to introduce Miss Sierra. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. If you want dessert and coffee, get that before Sierra starts talking.
Well, welcome to all of you. I am thrilled to be here today with you. It's always good to refresh our goals about this time of the year, so we need to start thinking about next year. So it's a really good time. I applaud all of you for being here today. And Sierra is a master at helping us see the purpose in our lives and how to live out that purpose. Sierra was our roommate at the Chamber of Commerce last year. We loved being together. I'm really proud of how brave she's been. She saw that she wanted a career change, and she had been a teacher. And so what you'll see today, she really brings a wonderful asset of how to teach and how to really make these goal-setting concepts come to life for you because of her background in the classroom. And so she took this brave step of learning new things and became a John Maxwell certified trainer, and then started her own business, Sierra Learnership Collaborative. It's been 2 full years now, or 2 years, about our 2-year anniversary. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself and all her credentials and what she's going to bring to you today. But please welcome Sierra Collins.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. There are so many different things that you could be doing right now, and you chose to be in this room, and that's a big deal. So thank you. There was a little bit of argument in here about whether this ends at 1 or 1:30. Danita thinks she said 1 o'clock. I would prefer it go the rest of the day. I have plenty to fill the time. So with that being said, if I speak a little past 1 o'clock, if you're able to stay, I would love for you to stay. If you're not, I will send you additional resources, but I want to make the most of all the time we have together today. So for those of you that don't know me, I am the founder of Sierra Learnership Collaborative, where I'm a leadership development coach, speaker, and trainer. Every day looks a little bit different for me. Sometimes I'm working with youth, sometimes one-on-one with adults, sometimes groups, businesses. It's always different. It's been a really exciting shift for me from education. It was a little scary to think that, I went straight out of school, got my master's in education. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And then things just changed for me over time to really focusing on leadership. And this just seemed like the logical next step. It fit nicely into my life. And I found that the skills that I learned while I was teaching for those 10 years have come in handy in working with adults as well. You guys are not that different from my students, but it has come in handy over time. I do have a quick announcement. Some of you might not have heard this because you haven't seen me in person in a while, or today's the first time we've ever met, but I have been growing my team, and I recently added Lisa Talbot to my team. So my vision for the business when I started was to be able to have an impact on other leaders and other people who consider themselves to be lifelong learners. That's kind of my obsession, is just growth and lifelong learning. And when I met Lisa, she fit so naturally into what that vision was and what I was already doing. It was just the perfect opportunity to expand my influence and continue impacting more people. So I'm excited that she's here. I think this is the first time you've actually been in the audience of anything that I've done. So thanks for being here. You guys are going to love her. If you haven't met her yet, you need to have a one-to-one and learn more about her. So, icebreaker. Literally picked this picture at 4 o'clock this morning. It caught my eye. You've already met the people at your table, hopefully by this point. Maybe you sat with people you didn't know. I hope you did. But today's icebreaker, very quick. I just want you to turn and talk at your table. When I chose this picture, it's because I was thinking, why are you even here? Why did you choose to be in this room today? Like, did you really think about what you were getting yourself into? What's your purpose? What's the outcome you're looking for in being in this room today? And if you could just no more than 15 seconds or so each, just go around the table and share what you hope to achieve by being here today. Go ahead.
Probably like when I first got right now, especially here in Moving Heights. I was like, I signed up for trainings.
He's a chicken.
I love chickens.
No, I was telling them that I signed up for this because I had a job scheduled that I had to be on site for. That was way up. We had a crane and we were lifting things over our house way up in the air. Well, I can't do that. I fall apart.
Aww.
So I sent my project manager out and then I scheduled this.
I love your honesty.
I told them.
So I seemed like a better option than Heights.
I was on site this morning and that crane boom went up in the air and I was like, oh, I can't do this.
I love it. Love it.
We're like going on.
All right, trying to bring it to a close. Last 10, 15 seconds. All right, and let's come back together, please. In 3, 2, 1, and we are back. Thank you. Some of the tables were smaller than others, so some of you moved a little bit more quickly. All right, so I did not warn anybody that they were going to have to share out, but I'm sorry. Why did you choose to be here today?
Well, I had a job that I had to be on. We were using a crane to lift some steel into a project, and I can't deal with heights, and just looking up in the air just breaks me. So I went on site this morning, I looked up in the air, and I looked at my project manager, I said, I've got a meeting at 11:30. Now, that's not why I signed up, because I love goals.
Because you love goals.
Yeah, but yeah.
I love
That
it.
was the truth.
I love it. Cheryl, why did you choose to be here today?
Well, since I've met you, I think you have it together and you've grown your business in 2 years. And I have 2 businesses that I want to get the most for my money, and I enjoy what I do. And I think that's the first thing. So now I'm ready to learn.
That's huge. Thank you for being here. And Dan, last one. Why are you here? I had to.
I'm looking for clarity of purpose.
I love it.
Identifying goals and figuring out where I want to go from here after lunch.
They weren't told to be here. They did choose to be here.
That's awesome. That's good to know, actually. I hadn't even considered that. Well, thank you for choosing to be here. Yes, Danita.
Karen and I made a goal together that by the Christmas mixer, we're gonna be down, we can say 10 now.
Yep.
There you go.
Congratulations.
So we're
We are going to make that happen. Round of applause for that one. All right. So today's agenda, goals and growth, intentionality, Michael Callahan's favorite, backwards planning for smarter growth, and ending on accountability. I told you it's a packed time together, so I'm going to move quickly. So, when you think of the word goals, there's some sort of emotional response that you get. I spoke to someone a little bit earlier who absolutely loves setting goals. I could tell she found passion and purpose in setting goals and achieving them, right? And some people might not feel as great about goals. So I had put, by the way, there is a sheet in front of each of you. If you guys want to take notes on it, there's some questions on there. It can guide your thinking as we go. But a question on there for you to think about, what emotion comes with the word goals for you when you hear that? Shout it out at me. What do you guys think? Fear. Okay.
Lack of focus.
Lack of focus.
Comfort.
See, you know who I was talking to earlier. She loves goals. Accomplishment.
Challenge.
Okay. We know you like a challenge. Okay. So oftentimes, by the way, I've always loved goals. It gives me a sense of purpose, and every day I'm always working towards the next thing. Love it, right? But oftentimes when we set goals, if it's a really lofty goal, you may have had an experience in the past where you set a really lofty goal, and then we had this discussion earlier, then there's this like almost a sense of shame when you don't reach it. You can be pretty hard on yourself, and you kind of just give up on it. And now wasn't the time, maybe I'll try again later, right? A lot of times we think, how long will this take? How long will it take me to lose 10 pounds, right? And you set a time that you think is appropriate. And unless, ladies, you two sit down and talk about between now and then the strategies that you're going to implement and the steps you're going to take to reach that goal by that date. You okay?
Sorry.
No. Sometimes we think, how long is this going to take? How long am I going to have to go through this process over and over? How many days am I going to have to get up in the morning at 5 a.m. and work out before I go to work? Maybe that's not enjoyable for you, so you're having to push yourself outside your comfort zone. So you might have the reaction of, how long is this going to take, right? You just want to reach the end. How quickly can I get there, right? On your sheet, I had put a question on there about a goal that you've reached, that you've seen some success in before. What is a goal that you're really proud of that you've achieved in the past? Anybody, shout it out. By the way, I love when you participate, so you're all going to talk at least once. Yes?
Just breaking out back into work after having children is just like, getting back in there and not like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a tough transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes?
Finishing my dissertation after many, many years.
But it was worth it,
Yeah,
right?
It was worth it, but it did have its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so glad it's over.
But we often feel that way, right? When it's done, we're like, whew, checked that box. Now what, right? We move on to the next thing. One more success? Who had a yes?
I wanted to build a house when I was young, and it took me a while to get there, but I built 12 so far.
Wow.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
The afraid of heights came from on a roof like that.
Oh.
No, I got off the roof.
You have new ways to overcome that obstacle.
Just found a new way.
One-story houses.
No, but that's a good point, because my next question was, what obstacles have you faced that have stood in your way of reaching your goals in the past? Oftentimes, I am my own obstacle. It's in my head, right? It's that fear of failure, fear of making a mistake, not having a perfect plan before I start, what people will think of me, right? There are all these fears associated with that goal. So think about those obstacles you typically face. And the reason I entitled this From Goals to Growth is I love goals. I want you to keep setting goals. I want to be very intentional about the way that we set our goals, but I want the focus to be on growth over time, not just chiseling away at something and then asking yourself, okay, what's the next thing? I've done that one. What's next, right? So when we make the shift from goals to growth, we start to think about, how far can I go? How far can I take this? Ladies, it's not about losing the 10 pounds. What is the actual goal there? You want to feel better, right? It's about your health. You wanna feel good about yourself when you look in the mirror. So that is the growth part, and you are taking steps to get there so you can feel a certain way. And so that's the shift that I really want to talk about, is what does the continuous growth look like for you? And that's why we really have to do some big picture thinking and then slowly do some backwards planning and figure out, now how do we get there? So you've all had some massive goals in your life that you've been working on, and I know that you've checked some of them off, but there are probably some things that you haven't done because of the fears I was talking about before. Something has been standing in your way. Does anybody have a goal that they've always wanted to do, but there's some fear standing in their way, that if you could get rid of that fear right now, you'd do it today? What would you do if you didn't fear failure?
I'll go get it. I'd sell my business.
You would?
It was always the intention is to build a business that was marketable and sell. It wasn't to own the business and effort to sell it, to start something new. So yeah, I would sell it.
So what's stopping you?
Buyers.
Okay. So, but that's what you have to start asking yourself, though, is what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What's stopping you? What is that first step that you can take to head in that direction? I heard that. I heard that. So here's the shift. Making the shift from how long will this take to how far can I go? Just think about the emotion that each of those things evoke for you. For me, how long will this take? There's an end point, right? And I'm just trying to figure out, what can I do to go through the motions to get to the end point? With the other one, what is how far can I go? How does that change for you? What do you feel when you hear that? What do you feel when you hear growth versus goals? John?
I guess it depends on the goal you have and being realistic about your needs. So it sounds like you take goals and then you dissect them into accomplishments, and that's maybe overwhelming to people as opposed to getting here. So the strategy is planning it better.
I feel as if sometimes the goal puts a limit on how far we'll go, but the idea of growth and constant growth over time, every day, even if it's just a little bit, even if you think about plants and the way that they grow, right? If you sit and stare at them, you're not really going to notice them growing. Walk away for a week, come back and look at your tomato plant, and you know something's been going on, right? So it starts to change that mindset, and you see a lot more of opportunities for growth out there. So I've put together a couple of ideas of things that you can do to make the shift before we talk about how we do this kind of new sort of goal setting. One, we have to embrace change. In order to grow, you have to change. Some of us love change, some of us do not. Again, I think emotion, there's an emotion that comes with the word change. I love change. I try to change something every day. Thank you for doing that. He changes his clothes every day. Adopt a teachable spirit. So, do all of you have a teachable spirit sitting in this room? I feel as if you do, because you chose to be here, right? You're open to learning. You're open to these opportunities. You have to make growth a priority in your life and look for these opportunities around you, because they're there every single day. Ask questions. I spent a week in the Adirondack Mountains with my dad, and it was weird to not have a phone signal, because every time we would ask one another a question, typically we would just Google it to find the answer. And I was like, man, it makes me think about the encyclopedias that we used to look up, and find this much information about each topic inside, right? But how often are you asking questions and seeking new knowledge and trying to learn more? And then when you do, are you keeping track of that learning? Do you have systems in place to keep track of the things you're learning? So for example, even just for reading a book, I have a system for the way I read a book. So I try to read a book a week just because I want to continue to learn, but I think it also helps me to add more value to my clients if I'm continuing to learn. So I read through it once and do some color coding and highlighting. And then after the fact, I type up a one-page summary with the high points of the things that I want to take away. Even if it's an article that I read online, I file it in a folder because maybe one day I need information on that topic. Maybe it's about effective communication. I have a whole folder of effective communication articles, right? I file it in a place where I can go back and look at it later. And then I think that this is the most important piece, is when you learn something new, passing it on to someone else. That was my favorite part of being in the classroom, was watching a child get so comfortable with a topic that they could turn and teach it to someone else. And it just further ingrained it in them, right? They learned so much by teaching it. Make your love for learning greater than your fear of failure. We all kind of admitted some fear of failure a little bit here earlier, right? We want to love the learning more than we have this fear. Don't let that fear win. Surround yourself with other growing people, right? So one of my goals for my business was to create a community of effective leaders and lifelong learners that were achieving and striving for personal and professional growth every day, right? And so that's my goal, is I'm just trying to continue to build that community. I started a Facebook group. It's a community, right? I'm trying to build it out and surround myself with other people that want to learn and grow. Develop greater humility. So that doesn't mean that you need to deny what strengths you have, but it's about being open about those opportunities for growth that you have. It's okay to admit weakness in something, right? So just sitting at your table, and as I made my way around, I heard so many different talents in this room today. It's amazing. And I want to learn more about all of you, but each of you also has different obstacles that you're facing, and chances are there's someone in this room that's really great at that and could help you. So surround yourself with the people that are really strong in the areas that you need a little support. And of course, believe in yourself. So I can't do any sort of slideshow without one John Maxwell quote. I love him. We call him Papa John. I just got to see him again last month in person, and every time I don't know. He inspires me so much. But what you think about yourself determines the investment you make in yourself. So stop and think about that for a second. How much do you value yourself? What are you willing to invest in yourself? You literally invested in yourself to be here today. And then finally, embrace layered learning. Can anybody tell me why I put Shrek on this slide? Because onions have layers. Yes, yes. So who doesn't get it? Oh, watch Shrek this weekend. That's your assignment. So onions have layers. Everything great has layers. Okay? But when we talk about layered learning and educational, we talk about spiraling and continuing to build on the skills that the students already have, right? This is building the big picture for yourself, one piece at a time. So continue to build on your learning over time. So it's all about intentionality. But before we figure out where we're going, we have to figure out where we're starting, right? And this is like very quick brain dump. I just want you to take 30 seconds individually, jot down on your paper, where are you now? What do you feel good about in your life? Remember, this is a personal development shift as well. So we're talking personal today too, not just professional. There's a lot more to you than just a career. So open up with yourself, reflect on where you are, what do you feel good about, and what needs work. Try and identify at least 1 or 2 things for each box there. I'll just give you a moment. All right, if you've only completed one side, shift over to the other one, start working on that one. All right, wrap up the one you're on, please. All right, this is just some initial thinking. All right? Always like to start with a quick brain dump to see what's on my mind before we dig a little deeper. So I'm not going to ask that you share out necessarily with everybody at your table group, but is there anyone that feels comfortable sharing something they're feeling really good about in their life right now? What is something we can celebrate? Yes?
Health. I've been working on health ever since COVID. Baby steps, and I go backwards, but then I go a couple steps forward. Just always a work in progress.
Yeah, but you keep chiseling away at it, right?
I don't want to ever go back to where I was in COVID.
So I bet there are other people in this room that wrote health on the other side, right? So she has taken steps to make a change. Find those people that have taken some steps to make a change and see what worked for them. What is something else that's going well for someone right now? Yes.
Just breaking out of being stagnant, and in my life and seeing opportunities and actually going to grab them and not just like, letting them pass me by. Just like go grab it and then, forget.
Anybody else connect with that? Breaking out of being kind of in a stagnant place and taking advantage of those opportunities when you see them. I'm seeing some nodding, some others. They are. When you have your eyes open and you're looking for them, they are all around. Yes. All right, what about an area where you're just like not feeling it right now? It needs some work. I will open up because I know that it's always a little easier on this side for people to hear from someone else first. So for me, I'm not great at setting boundaries. So I am working really hard on setting boundaries. I'm reading a book right now called Boundary Boss. I am just trying to surround myself with people that are really great at setting boundaries. And hopefully I will reach that goal soon. Yes, honestly, that is something I struggle with. I think I saw your hand up. Maybe.
Yeah, I was, one of the things I want to do is about my time and scheduling a lot better. Like this morning I got up and, let me put these cabinets up right away, real quick. So I get really ADD. The schedule really makes me feel accomplished at the end of the day if I start it or the night before. So that's personalist and also professionalist.
Thank you for sharing. One more?
Motivations.
extremely impatient with work processes at home. I drive my assistant crazy with most things, because I want something right away, because I feel like I reciprocate that to others. So if somebody wants something from me, I tend to stop what I'm doing to give that to them. So, patience.
I think staying on task, that really resonated with me. A lot of times I'll set a goal for the day or something like that, and well, this needs to be done. That easy, but I should do that. Then you're staying off, you get sideways. I mean, I have a friend that does
I've heard of other people that
So as you were saying that, Dan, I was just thinking about just having awareness of that and being able to stop yourself in the moment and realize it's happening and do something about it. You have a habit, right? And you have to retrain your brain. So I could spend hours talking about creating habits, but I think that slowing down in general and reflecting on where you are versus where you want to be would do all of us a lot of good, right? Just this conversation with you right now in the last couple of minutes, you've jotted down a couple of things that you could be working on. So the where do you want to be? We need to ask ourselves, what do I need to stop doing immediately that is not serving me well? What do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to start doing? Try to think of one on each side. Feel free to shout it out if you're comfortable doing so. Winging it.
That's a stop.
Okay, well, thanks for clarifying.
I'm good at it, so I can keep doing it, but at the same time, even today with the fighting with the printer before I got over
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, if I thought a little bit more last night and had that plan away, which you're a fantastic example of getting, and making sure you're prepared ahead of time. And I've spent so much of my career being able to walk into any situation and wing it, and we get it done. Could it be better? Sure. Sometimes was it fine? Yeah, absolutely. But it needs to stop.
It stops today.
That's how to wing it? Can you teach people how to wing it?
Yeah, because there is a balance there. You need a balance of the two.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't want to be the opposite and be Sierra, who has to have everything perfect. And I used to get so stressed out over every little thing because I feared it was not going to be perfect and what was someone's perception of it.
I think it goes back to the intentionality piece, right? Is what is that plan? And I know for myself, I've been not working for like 18 months and, flexing those muscles again and saying, okay, these are the things that are going to make it ultimately successful. And yeah, I believe in balance all the time because we're far too hard on ourselves. But taking that time, because we're talking about intentionality, but also, getting set for the day, you were talking about is getting that mindset ready for the day, and then being able to pursue those goals of growth that you're looking at.
Yeah, I feel if I make my list that morning, I'll be fine. If I make the list the day before, I'll just sleep. I start going through it, so I stopped doing that. And then, I like to plan for the next day, but it does keep me up.
Yeah.
So I'm watching your reaction.
So the opposite. If I know what my next day brings, I'm at peace for and I know when I get up, I know what I'm going to do.
I have both, but what helped me is getting the right planner, and I would put my stuff in my planner, and then at the end of the day, exhausted as I may be, I wrote the most priorities that I wanted, and I said, that's tomorrow. And once it's out of my head and on paper,
Right.
that makes a big difference from the anxiety, because I got this. I won't forget, because I think your anxiety comes from, I'm going to forget.
Yes.
You're holding it in your head.
Yeah. Anita really taught me that years ago. Like, once you get it on paper, it can come out of your head.
Yeah, I worked for a church and our pastor made us journal. That was part of our assignment, and he just believed that if you keep on putting trash, crinkling it up and putting it in the garbage can, what happens? The trash starts to go into the ground. So emptying your mind so that you have some room to do the work is
the way we met.
And seeing it and being able to have more control over it, right?
There is just strength in checking that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Speaking her love language.
I check lunch off the list. I'm like, I just did something that I don't think I had on the list. I'll go ahead and put it on so I can check it off. But about writing it down, so my mind goes immediately in 10 different directions. So I want to comment on a couple of things. One, the writing it down. If you did not write down, when I asked you guys to write down what you're going to stop, if you didn't physically write that down, please write that down, because there's something to that. Actually putting it on the paper and committing to doing it, and then also turning and telling someone else or telling a close friend what you're committing to stop doing, because you announced it. You're not going to wing it anymore, because you have a whole room full of people that are going to be like,
I'm so envious of that quality, because I love being in front of people and talking and such, but I come prepared, you know? But even in the preparation, there's always, you have to adapt. So I'm not afraid to adapt, but I like to have some kind of scaffolding that I know in which direction I should be speaking or talking or thinking or writing or whatever it is.
every single one of us in this room is wired differently. And so taking this time to stop and think about those things that you know that are working for you and those that aren't, that's going to make the difference for you. So real quick, for the sake of time, is there one thing someone wants to share out that they want to start doing immediately? Yes.
Prioritizing the time and like actually putting it on the calendar. Like if it's there, if you're scheduling what you want to accomplish, then you know it's not you if it's you see it.
Yes. I call that my 24-hour plan. And there are always 24 hours in a day, and I get to choose how I use them. And when you actually sit down and plan out exactly how you want to use them and you prioritize your time with your family first and your health first, there's still 8 hours in a day to work, but you've done those things for yourself first.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was I will start prioritizing my own goals versus my work goals or my family goals, because I'll give you a quick example. I started writing songs back when I was 18, 16, 13, and then all the way up, and I've just been accumulating songs and lyrics and stuff, and then when I early retired in 2020, and then I went back to work after that, but when I early retired, I went to the studio and 3 songs, right, of ones that I'd written when I was 18, and I'm certainly not that any longer, but my voice had changed, so then I had to learn what do I do about my voice, you know, I didn't want to be the weakest link in my own project, you know, but it was so satisfying doing that. But I waited 40 years to do that. So, so what? You know, at least if you do them, I think it's important. But then you have to also adapt your where you think you are and what you think you can contribute. Because I'm thinking, either I'm going to sing them, or I might just get some conservatory students to sing it. Because the songwriting, our goal is to get the songs out there that can encourage people. That was the ultimate goal, but that took a little bit of a mindset shift to get there. And I'm still getting there, because I'm still on the fence. But anyway, prioritizing those instead of all the years of working full-time and kids and husband and parents and all the other things that are important in life, community, your church.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, talking about all of those things, this is what I call the wheel of life. So we're looking at the big picture. So your life is made up of all these different categories, okay? So here are some examples here. There's some examples on your paper. But if you break down this wheel of life into different areas, of course, career is only one of them, right? And so that's the idea of jotting down all of your goals, not just for career, but all the rest of your life as well, right? Your health, if you have a significant other, you're in a relationship, friends and family, physical environment, the safety and security of your home environment. But then also, if you don't work from home, your office environment. Some of us can walk into an office environment that's kind of toxic, right? And what can we do about that? Personal growth, has that been a priority for you? If not, it might be now. Fun and recreation, are you taking time to do things you enjoy? Okay? Money, your finances, it's not just about whether or not you have enough money now, but do you have the understanding, the knowledge of what you should be doing to prepare for the future, right? So there's the knowledge piece of that. And these are just some of the categories. You might have your spiritual health, right? Mental, emotional health. There are categories that aren't necessarily represented here that are important in your life. So what I want to do before you flip the page over is I want to explain how you use the wheel of life. And this was an example. If you think of the outside of the wheel being a 10 saying, I am 100% satisfied with everything in this area of my life, right? I couldn't be healthier, or I have the best friends and family. They are very supportive. We have a great relationship. 10 is absolutely perfect, right? And so some of us might say we would never put 10 there. I have some people that will put 9.9 there. Whatever you choose to do. And the center point representing 0, which is there is absolutely nothing going right in this area of my life right now. And what you do is you graph outwardly on a scale of 0 to 10 where you feel you are, keywords, in your level of satisfaction. Level of satisfaction. How pleased are you with where you are right now? So I want you to flip your paper over to the other side where there's a blank one. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be dividing your circle into the number of spaces that you need to look at the different areas of your life. But can I borrow yours for a second? Yeah. So on this page, I've listed out the ones that were on the original Wheel of Life, and I've left an opening for you to add other things that are important to you. And then just put your rating on a scale of 0 to 10 next to each of those. Be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, this activity will do absolutely no good. So where are you? Go ahead and jot that down. You do not have to share out any of these numbers, so you don't have to worry about that. And as soon as you have done so, you can move forward to the circle and go ahead and break your circle into the number of parts that you need for your life and graph it. So just take a couple of minutes to do that. Thank you. Sometimes it's a little bit easier if someone talks you through what that category is. So I'll just quickly go down them if you haven't done personal growth. So how do you feel about where you are in taking advantage of the opportunities to grow around you? Are you taking time to attend things such as this, maybe once a month? Are you doing something intentionally to grow at all times? Fun and recreation, have you scheduled things to do that allow you to decompress and take your mind off of the things that are stressing you out? Physical environment, I mentioned safety and security, so just being comfortable in your home space. Career, so a lot of times people struggle with this one because they might think, well, I expected that I would be here by now, so they kind of rate based on where they expected they would be. But that's why I want to focus on your level of satisfaction, how happy you are with where you are going into work every day. Money, I mentioned, it's not just how much you have, but the knowledge and understanding of what you need to do to be prepared for the future. Health, some people break that down into multiple categories because your physical health might be completely different than your mental and emotional health score. Significant other, romance. Some people say, well, I don't want to be in a relationship, so I don't know what number to put there. And I'm like, well, if you don't want to be in one and you're happy not being in one, then you can rate it high because you're happy with where you are. And then, of course, the blanks. Does anybody have any questions about any of the categories? Marcus. Okay, so remember how I said teaching adults is very similar? Come here.
Oh, wait, you're doing something all that.
This is Marcus's wheel of life. It is so him. He has a smiley face on his name tag, too. I embarrassed you on purpose. All right. So 1, 2, or 3, how long do you need to finish rating and filling in your wheel of life appropriately?
I'm visually challenged here, so I could use a little assistance.
Okay. How many categories do you have?
11.
Yeah.
and you want it to be perfect.
Where's my straight edge?
Can we just get a 12? Can we pick a 12?
I'll pick a 12.
You guys can make them pretty later. It's not about being pretty.
You are giving me a straight edge.
There's the straight edge.
Yep, got it.
All right. You guys can finalize this and make it look how you want later. But what I want you to see is, if this were to be a wheel, by the way, this isn't mine. So just so you know, if you're like, wow, Sierra's really unhappy with Matt, that's not why that's there. But if this were to be an actual wheel, how smooth of a ride would this be? It's a little bit bumpy, right? So oftentimes we think, oh my gosh, so I have everything here is low because I don't have any 9s or 10s, right? What if we could get everything to a 7, right? It's more about having balance. The idea isn't that we try to get everything up to a 10, but we find a way to build on these areas that we know maybe we've been neglecting. Until we sat down and really reflected on it today, we didn't realize that there was much of a discrepancy there. So we did this exercise 1 to 10. Now, you should at least have your numbers done. So if you don't fill out your wheel right now, that's okay. I want you to identify 3 of the areas, 3 of the categories that are your highest scores, and the 3 that are your lowest scores, and fill them in the table. And no cheating because his answers are different than yours. Something I used to be really bad about was never celebrating the success and always just immediately focusing on the things that I'm not doing well at, right? So let's think about what's going really well. Think about your top 3. So in the categories listed, just a quick raise of the hand is easy enough. Who had personal growth in their top 3? Awesome. So by the way, we're not going to do this for areas in need of attention, but look around. Those of you that had personal growth listed as an area in need of attention, look at whose hands are raised. Those are the people you need to be hanging out with. So let's do it again. Those that put personal growth in their top 3, raise your hand. So those of you that have it as your lowest need to be friends with these people. Okay, what about fun and recreation? Who's having fun? It's in their top. Okay, we need some more fun in this room. Now we know this is the fun table. Physical environment. Like, I feel really safe and secure. I love my home. It's a happy place. Cool. Great. Career. Awesome. Finances, money, wealth. Interesting. No, don't. Put your hand up.
Worked hard.
But look around the room. This is so common that finances, money, wealth falls over here. Go hang out with Darkish. She'll tell you what to do. She worked really hard for it. All right, your health. Be proud. Awesome. Friends and family.
It's just so funny when you like said, what is your standard?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some parts of me, I would go, like, look at my age, what I do, right? Like,
Mhm.
I was like, thank me every weekend, oh, we were able to keep up and have this amazing face. But part of me would then also go, my more critical side of, you know, you put on too much weight, you know, you can't do what you did 5 years ago, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
what is the standard that you're measuring?
It's a great point. It's a great point.
Past standard that's not.
That you have to change.
Mhm.
I'm reaching an age where I have to be more satisfied with different levels of health.
Yeah. So true. You know, commenting on that. So most of you that know me well know my struggles with Lyme disease. And so for me, I know how bad it can be. I think if I was a normal, typical, like healthy 33-year-old and I hadn't had that experience, I would look at my health much differently. But now I'm super grateful when I wake up and I'm not in pain, right? And so that's a great example. Thank you, Cynthia. We're not going to tell anybody, but who is super happy with their significant other, romance, spouse, whatever, great relationships at home. Awesome. All right. Who added a category that wasn't on here? Like I added spiritual life. Does anybody rate that as their top? Awesome. Mental health. Okay.
Helping others.
Helping others. Service to others. Any other categories that you guys added that are important to you that wasn't on here? Okay, life balance. I like it.
Self-care.
Self-care, very important. I like that. All right, the areas in need of attention. I want you to just choose one of them that you would like to focus on for the rest of our time together and for the work that you do after today. Choose that one focal point. I love it. She circled hers. Circle it. Look at it. Make a commitment to do something about it. So you guys have probably heard of SMART goals. You might have heard of SMARTer goals. And sometimes you hear different words used for them, right? And so the idea of creating a smarter goal and being intentional about it is starting with a really big picture and thinking about, well, in the first place, what does my life look like as a whole? Hopefully you were able to break it down and kind of figure out where you need to focus your attention. We don't want to neglect the things that have been going really well because all of a sudden we're working on this one thing. So I'm not going to let my relationship with my family go because I want to focus on improving my health. I'm going to involve my family in improving my health, right? How can you get more bang for your buck and focus on something where you involve the other areas at the same time, right? But when you are creating smarter goals, and I laugh because when I first started teaching, we had to have SMART goals for every lesson for our students. And then in Fairfax County, they said they need to be smarter, but they didn't have the E. It was just SMARTR. And then they became smarter, and I just don't know what it's going to become in the future. but as the smartest goals. But when we're thinking about smarter growth, this is the kind of the process we go through to see how can we improve that area that you just identified. You need to be very clear and specific about your intentions in that area. Yes?
I have a quick question. Like,
Yeah.
My struggle, obviously, friends and family are something, but if you're like health, I circle that and I'm going to stick to it. Friends and family, part of something that you can control. You can do all day long, but so how do you have the mindset of not having expectation if you do and do and do it? I'm doing the right thing, and then your expectation is not going to fulfill this friends and family. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense because I have the same thing going on. So I'm very open. I'm very transparent. So I will tell you, I just spent the 10 days in the Adirondacks with my dad because my relationship with my dad has never been good. And so my intention was to go on that trip to try to understand why he is the way he is and better connect with him, right? Did it work? It didn't. I was really disappointed. There were some ups and downs in the trip, but I chose to come back. That 10.5-hour drive yesterday, I reflected on all the amazing things that I saw and I learned. It was wonderful, but I have to realize what I can and can't control, and I did what I could, right? So I took the steps that I knew I could take. So I love that you brought that up because the conversation of control is a big one in my coaching sessions because a lot of times we're trying to control things that we can't, right?
Yeah, if you're an empath and you're an observer, you don't get the stage talk, especially in that circumstance. You develop that path to break that. It's kind of tough, I think.
So I think it's just being very clear with yourself about what you're willing to do and how far you're willing to go, but then it's that boundary part that I'm working on, right?
Yeah.
And setting a boundary and saying, I've done what I can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes?
Expectations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big problem, is having expectations sometimes on people that aren't really even able, and therefore you just really have to accept people for who they are and what their limits or their abilities are.
See, now you get into projection, like, it's really complicated. You're projecting your expectations upon them.
Right.
Yeah?
And sometimes they don't even know.
They don't?
So you're setting up a failure.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, as a parent, I learned this lesson because I had certain things I thought my children, you try to teach your children and give them their values, but in the end, as they become teenagers and then young adults, once they're young adults, your job's kind of done. Now you're like a coach. But if they don't want to hear what you have to say, I was thinking about what you said, I just took the long haul about it. At some point I had to say, all right, that person's making their choices and I'm gonna love them. And at the end it was like, especially with a daughter and a mom, I was like, I'm just gonna love her. I'm gonna accept her. I'm gonna let all of those things go and let her make her choices. And I'm here to coach her and help her if she chooses to. But in the long run, the only thing I want her to know is that she's loved and that she's here to make a difference in this world. And that's what I coached to her. And then I let the rest of it go. I just let it go.
I love that. And that's why I went on the trip, is because I wanted him to know he was loved, right? And he knows. So I did what I could, right? I love that. Thanks for bringing it up because I think there are a lot of people in here that could benefit from that. Okay, so we're clear about our intentions, measurable. How will you know you're making progress in this area? A lot of people skip over this one. I love this one because I love numbers. I was a math teacher. So anytime that I can quantify something, right? The wheel of life lets me quantify my level of satisfaction in an area of my life. So even if it's taking my level of satisfaction with my family from a 5 to a 7, and I'm sitting down and I'm reflecting once a month to determine where am I now, right? And kind of putting some characteristics out there. How will I know I'm making progress in this area? Some things it's very easy. With the weight loss thing, you can, step on a scale and But some things are much harder to quantify. Am I taking advantage of opportunities for growth? Asking people for feedback is always great for me. So asking other people for feedback on how I'm doing, those that know me and see me functioning on a regular basis. Is what I'm doing, are the behaviors, are the things that I'm doing actionable? Am I clear about what I am going to do each day to get there, right? Do I know the steps that I'm taking? What strategies will I be implementing? Am I pushing myself outside my comfort zone? Is what I'm doing risky? I love that one, right? I've shared a couple times before. So women were out of my comfort zone for the longest time. I grew up with brothers. I hung out with boys my whole life. So like going to Women of Winchester was like so outside my comfort zone, and I chose to do it because I knew it was going to be hard for me. And now I love them, right? And I've built amazing relationships. So is it risky? Time bound. Do you have a timeline for the growth? And if you don't necessarily reach the goal that you've set and the timeline that you had chosen, do we change the goal or do we change the time? Right? Because I think we just need to change the time and maybe implement some new strategies because what we were doing before didn't work. Is it exciting? Is it something that's going to get you out of bed in the morning? And is it relevant? Does it connect back to your wheel of life and something you've identified as an area in need of improvement? So the final page in your packet, those of you that said planner earlier, I love planners. I've used a full focus planner since it first came out. It's been almost 5 years now, and this is actually a goal detail page specifically out of that planner. If you want to know about full focus planners, let me know. They actually came out with a certified pro training program, so I can teach it. I can share it with my clients. Love it. But all about goal setting. So here's a goal summary where you would write your SMARTer goal. You identify as an achievement. It's something you're going to check a box when you're done, or are you creating a habit? My favorite goals are the habit goals because I don't just want to check a box and be done with it. I want it to be a part of my life. So here are the domains that Full Focus Planner uses. These align very well with those on the Wheel of Life. Here, it's key motivations. Why do you want to do it? This is the exciting part, right? Why is this important to you? This goes back to what Danita, you were saying. It's not just about the 10 pounds. It's about how you're going to feel, right? It's about your health. What steps are you going to take to get there? And then the part that I always skipped, the reward. How am I going to celebrate success instead of just hopping on to the next thing? How am I going to celebrate? At the bottom of your page, and I know it looks horrible up here, but at the bottom of your page is a streak tracker for 3 months. So if it's a habit goal, if you want to 3 times a week go for a walk with a friend, you would use this as like the dates on the calendar and you check it off every time you do it. You track your streak. Maybe it's something you're doing daily. Drink 4 glasses of water a day. Check, 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 right? So if it's a habit goal, use the streak tracker. If you love this system, Full Focus Planner, I love because it's personal and professional. It allowed me to merge my lives into one because I used to have 2 planners. That's all I have for you guys today. It's all from here forward about accountability, holding one another accountable to that little thing you circled on your paper today, making a change because of it, and implementing things that you learned today. I like this from Stephen Covey. Accountability breeds responsibility. It's broken down like that for a reason. So I know that we probably don't have time for Q&A because I ran over. I knew I would. But if you guys have any questions for me, let me know. This is the stuff I love doing. I love teaching. I'd be happy to sit down with you with a planner, Marcus, like with a planner, and teach you how to use it.
Yes. I still have it.
I'm glad you have it.
Yes.
Pages are blank, but there's so much opportunity.
But you took the first step. He bought a planner, right? Also, I constantly have things going on, mastermind groups, workshops. Lisa has something coming up. I wanted to give her 2 seconds, maybe 10, to share about that. She has a flyer for you guys, but thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
So I'm doing an 8-week mastermind, and I'll pass this around to all of you. But it kind of continues the work here. There's so many ways to go about this, and kind of to the point of intentionality, spending that time in the morning or whatever time of day works for you to actually sit down for 15 or 20 minutes and walk through a process that allows you to get it set up for life and also for your day, right? So it always starts with the day, and then it melds into ultimately what you accomplish over your lifetime. So if you'd like to join our mastermind, it's starting actually October 4th, and we're going to run it through November 22nd. And it's based on the 6-phase meditation by Vishen Lakhiani. He's got a book coming out. I'm going to gift you the book. But it's around, it sounds like meditation, right? And it's really a practical meditation. It's something that you can use on a daily basis that's going to move you in a forward direction. So let me just pass this around, because I think I just went 15 seconds, right? What's that? She does.
Now, and guys, we moved into a new office. The address is up here. I'm going to figure out a ribbon cutting date with the chamber, but we're really excited about it. We have our own classroom space. So I can hold workshops and everything right there in person and don't have to rent conference room space anymore. So that's exciting. And if you know of anybody in the community that needs it too, we're open to that as well. I know a couple of church groups and stuff have reached out that they might need it on a Sunday. But I already have it set up as a classroom space, so let me know if you need it.